Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Dateable, a show all about modern dating where we dig into the whys of people's behavior when it comes to dating, including your own behavior. And this was every week we're like, this was an eventful week. This was an eventful week. This week was not that eventful.
Yes, that's good. I feel like, I feel like we got to a point in this whole cycle that we're like, you know what? We can maybe do our intro not as close, like to the day that we put out the episode because things aren't changing as fast. We've stabilized. And then like the last couple of weeks, we're like, nope, we got to bring it in again. So it's nice when things aren't going crazy in the world.
I had an epiphany, Julie, and I'll just tell you what happened this past week. It's related to Stop Asian Hate, hashtag. If you're on YouTube, you can see it right behind me. Just having a conversation with a few friends, and we're talking about big brands and whether they should put out a message on recognizing what's been happening in the U.S. and in the world with all the hate crimes. And some brands feel like it's not in their place. They should be more uplifting, positive. And I thought about this quite hard about it because I thought back to when during the elections, you were on TikTok and you were looking at the other political party.
Yep.
And you were then fed all this information that was supporting the opposite political views and how surprised you were by it. And I thought about the same thing where we live in our own echo chambers. So some of us who may not watch TV or the news, everything we see on the internet just feeds into your own echo chamber. So some people, and this is shocking to me, have no idea what's going on right now with the Asian hate crimes. They may not have seen any news around it because it's not in what's filtered in their ecosphere, right?
It's not on the radar of most of my white friends. I'll be completely transparent. I don't know like everyone out there. It's on my radar because I have a lot of Asian friends, as you know. I'm the one white girl and the one Asian
honorary
group.
Asian.
But I have a bunch of circles of friends, and I have some circles that are purely white women and others that are more diverse and mixed. And in those circles, it's top of mind. And in the ones that are purely white women, it doesn't come up ever. I'm going to be honest,
So this is so good for us to know because just because you're seeing what's happening doesn't mean everyone's seeing it. And the people who should be seeing it are not actually aware of what is happening in the world. So this is my call out to all the big brands out there. For example, if you're a Pepsi, you're not a news organization. You're not considered the media. So your posts would not be filtered out, right?
Yep.
So if you do bring awareness to what is happening with the Asian hate crimes, with Black Lives Matter, it is important for you to put out something about it because your post will not be filtered out to the people who should be seeing it. So that's just my one request for all the big brands. And for anybody who thinks big brands shouldn't have a stance, they absolutely should and bring awareness to the current events.
Yeah, it's a really hard line because one of my favorite podcasts outside of us, they get a lot of flack for being political and saying statements like this and they actually had a recent guest that was talking all about, Asian hate crimes and being Asian in America right now. And they get a lot of flack because they're a dating and relationship comedy podcast. And I, on one hand, get that. Like, a lot of, comments are like, I come here for relief. I don't want to hear about this stuff. I can hear about it in the news. But then on the other hand, I totally get why it's like we have a platform. Yes. Especially you as an Asian woman. It's like, I want to use my platform for good. And I get it, but I see both sides of it because I'm sure we have listeners out there that love hearing this stuff. A bunch of people in our Facebook community actually reached out and said how they love the last couple intros. But I'm sure there's other people out there that are like, just get to the dating topics. That's why we're here, I
get it, but it's our house, and my friend Emily posted this, and I just want to read it. The first task of the activist is to make the invisible visible. So whether you agree with our platform or not, at least bring awareness to what's happening. And it is the responsibility of any influencers or anybody with a platform out there, especially these big brands, to just simply bring awareness to what's happening.
Totally. And I actually put up a post. I think this was like, you were kind of just like in the thick of all the stuff that was happening. This was like at the very beginning. And I just put up a post in our group that being like, you know, all our Asian, like Dateable fam, Asian listeners, like we're here, we're sending you love, we see you. And people's like reaction was just like, thank you. Like a lot of our Asian listeners were like, thank you for putting that out there. This community has been so much more than just dating and relationship advice. And I think like the way I've been thinking about it too, this isn't like it kind of clicked with this revelation, but yes, we're a dating and relationship podcast, but ultimately we're all about finding love, like, and being happy. That's the end goal. And I think you and I have talked about this at the beginning of this podcast. We thought that like we'd be talking about all these dating stories and, you know, like, and we never thought we'd be talking about, you know, dating yourself and self-love and all that stuff. And I think it is this like larger picture. And I think community, belonging, this feeling of belonging is a huge part of, you know, dating and relationships, even though it feels like it's not related because you're not technically like dating these people. I've been thinking about this a lot. Like I actually went to South by Southwest virtual and there was a lot about this like feeling of belonging right now in community and tech for belonging. And to be honest, this has actually been like my, I feel like life mission in a way, because even before Dateable, I was doing 500 brunches that essentially brought people together. Like, I think I just like have a strong passion in not just a romantic sense, just in general of bringing people together. And I think the people, like, I was thinking about this for myself and I'm like, yeah, of course I want a partner. Of course I do. But I'm also okay now. Like I have more than enough people that I talk to on a daily basis. Like I feel a sense of love with community, with whether that's our own Facebook community and Dateable community, but also like my community in San Francisco and like all the friends I have, the family I have, like all that. And I think if you're coming from that place, you don't fall into these traps of just like sticking with these people that like treat you like shit for like months and months and months. So I do think it all connects.
And also when you have a sense of belonging, that hate dissipates because that hate is replaced by love and you're able to date without hate. And when people don't feel like they belong, that's when they dig themselves into this dark hole of misery, of negativity, of just hate, you know, for whatever reason from their past and their dating traumas. So it is so important to find a place that you belong and you have a support system so we can start to date without hate.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually a perfect tie into this week's episode,
yes,
which is
I
basically,
love this episode.
You know, it's bringing the fun back into dating. Like,
we need it.
And I think it really does stem from where you are. Like if you're filled with love and abundance in all other parts of your life, you just look at that person as someone new you're meeting, not like, oh my God, this person needs to fill this gap that's like within me, this void. And then that's where the pressure comes in. And that's when you're like doing the mental checklist and going on the date review and you're not able to just have fucking fun. Like that's the goal.
And
like,
how
why
do
is
you
that
have
so hard?
How do you have that fun? You have to understand what it's like to bring play into dating and into relationships and into your life. So we have this expert on. He really is the expert in play, which just means he is a professional kid. And, and he's able to help us uncover that playful, almost childish side and bringing more lightheartedness to this really challenging time in our lives. And again, like what you were saying, Julie, dating should be fun. It shouldn't feel like a job. It shouldn't feel like a chore. It shouldn't feel like a burden. How can we make this experience more fun for us?
Totally. And Jeff Harry is his name. We actually met him through the Most Dateable contest. He was a supporter of one of our contestants, Tim. And he actually works with our events producer, Louise. So there is a connection, like, because they're both in the play space. I still think when I hear play, I still think play parties, sex. I need to get my mind out of the gutter a little on that.
Or just keep it there. Why?
I mean, I guess technically that is play because it's all about exploration, right? Like that's the point of play parties. But yeah, that's a tangent. I think with with play, I personally, for me, like someone that's playful has always been at the top of my like qualities. It's not even like something I've actively seeked out. It's just people that I've meshed with really well. I would describe like my most recent exes both as super playful. But I think what I've learned too is that doesn't mean that there's not a serious side. Like just because you can act like a kid, and like I think sometimes people like associate kid-like behavior with immaturity. But I don't think that's always the case. Like, I think sometimes when you are just so deep and so mature, it's draining and boring. Like, I was on dates recently that I'm just like, I need to, like, go home because I'm mentally drained because we've just been, like, airing out our dirty laundry for, like, it's like we've been just like going, like hearing about like exes and like, your past. Like there's a time and a place for that. But on a first date, just fucking have fun and get to know each other.
Have fun and have good etiquette. Can we just bring up last week's episode? I knew it'd be controversial. We talked about modern dating etiquette, and this instigated many discussions in our Facebook group. One of them being this idea of Venmo requesting your date after the date.
Oh, God.
And I got it handed to Larita here. Okay, so she wrote something that I can totally resonate with. She went on a fabulous date with someone. They went hiking, great banter, and she started to lose interest the minute he asked to split the bill over Venmo. He was like, let me get this first, but then I'll Venmo request you for the half. There's just something so petty and so unromantic about that. I used to, Julie, in the beginning, I used to be all about the man paying for the date. I've now shifted. I think it should be equal, like 50-50. But to me, that means taking turns, wanting to pay for your date. The want, not the need, but the want to pay for your date. And to put a smile on their face, to be like, I got you, like this is mine. And then I know they're going to get my next meal or whatever adventure. But the minute someone asks me to split the bill, I totally agree. My heart just goes, like it throws up a little bit.
What makes this so difficult is that everyone has a different point of view. Like Sonia, another member, was like, I kind of like Venmo. It's pragmatic. It's practical. So that's what makes it really hard, is you have no idea where this other person is coming from. I logically get sharing the expenses 50-50. I totally logically get it, but there's something still within me that I cringe when the guy doesn't pay on the first date. Oh. Like there's something about it, and I know that's old school, and I know it shouldn't matter. I think though this also, it's like how you say it too, because I had this one situation where I remember this so well. It was like when I was doing 500 brunches, so I was not making much income at all, if anything. It was like startup mode, and I was on a date, and we went to the super expensive wine bar that he picked, and I did like the fake purse reach at the end, and he's like, "Oh, do you want to split it?" And I'm like, now it's awkward, and I'm like something, and he's like, oh, you know what, maybe we should, like, I'll get it because you're bootstrapping right now.
Oh,
you're not making a lot of money.
So
and I was like, that is not what I want. Like, if you were just like, I'll get it because I had a really good time with you. Like, it's just like, it was so unattractive and unappealing. And then I actually ended up fighting it because I did not want someone to pay for me out of pity. And then I got stuck with this massive bill when I wasn't making any money. And I was like, fuck, I should just let him pay for it. What was I doing? It was like my ego got in the way. But it was so insulting.
I've totally done that. I've totally done the, like, they asked if I want to split it. And I'm like, I'll just get it. I'll just pay for it, you fucker. Like, can we even try to ask me to split it?
I didn't pay for it. I split it. But yeah, it was still absurd for what I was making at the time.
And I've also heard from men that they could be on a really great date, and when the bill comes, and if the woman doesn't even offer to pay, they start to lose interest.
Totally.
So there is that too.
I get the other side too. It's like how many dates do you go on that you never see that person again?
Right.
For men that are, like, in theory, if women are making the same money or around the same, why should they be picking up the tab every time? I totally get it. That being said, there's still that, like, subconscious. And, I was talking about with Janice, our moderator, just in, like, a sidebar convo. And she's like, you know what? Like, women bear more child's bearing. Like, they bare child's, even like in relationships where men are doing a lot of the work, it's still falling more on women. So she's like, we can get treated to a dinner. So, it's like there is that side of it too. And again, you could argue that in many different directions. It's such an interesting topic.
Yeah, because I don't like it when the conversation turns petty. It's more like there should be a fight to pay for the bill, not a fight to try to split the bill. I want to go out with someone where I enjoy their company so much that I want to show my appreciation and I want to pay for their meal or their drink. But it's just, you're right. Everybody has their own stance on it. There's no right or wrong, but there is something about like asking to split the bill that just
totally
kind of grosses me out. Not gonna lie, grosses me out.
I think for me, it's like the beginning. I'd love it if someone picked it up on like the first couple dates or even the first one. Even the second, like, fine, let's split it or I'll pick it up. Like the first one, I do want to feel like treated. There's something that's like deep rooted in my feminine, like the way I grew up as a woman or what I've been read. I feel like I had an ex that paid for everything, like all the time. And to be honest, he probably shouldn't have been, but he wanted to. And I don't think that's necessarily necessary. I actually feel like kind of guilty about it, like now. But it's like one of those things that like, to him, he was like, I want to do this. This is my way of like protecting and like providing for you. So I think it all stems back to people's deep rooted like beliefs on it. And I do think older people, myself included as an elder millennial, have more traditional views on it. I think it's just come with time.
Yeah, I had this conversation with my boyfriend earlier today, and he's like, I think the younger generation is more about the even split.
Yep, totally.
And they're okay with it. But when you mix the old and young on a date, that's when it gets a little bit weird.
Yeah, like if I went out with someone that was like in their like early 30s or late 20s, I probably have to expect that I'm going to have the bill split.
Yep. Just the way it's changing times, but I agree. It's how you deliver that. It's not like, hey, you want to split this? I'm going to Venmo request you.
So while we're talking about etiquette and, play, I did want to share this message I got on Hinge.
Oh, boy.
I don't normally share messages on Hinge.
Let me get my coffee / vodka.
I actually feel like this is just play gone wrong. Like, I think, I think playfulness is great, but we talk about this on the episode. You kind of have to match each other's energy on play. And I was thinking about it, like you can bring playfulness into very early messages and flirting and all that. But the problem is sometimes you don't know the person in their tone in just message. And I think, I've said this before and people disagree with me. I'm personally so anti these like witty, clever opening lines on dating apps because I think they fall short a lot of times because there's no tone and knowledge of this person. So this is what I got. I have a photo of myself in a sriracha costume, and I probably should actually take this down because it's a little old at this point. But I think part of why I had it up is because I had like some prompt that like my favorite costume was sriracha, and everyone would be like, oh, why don't you have the photo up?
It's a great photo.
It was a great photo, and I think it does bring my playful side out because I do love like Halloween. It's my favorite holiday.
Yeah, and you made that costume, right?
I did. I made it myself. But anyways, I think it's retired now because of this comment has put me over the edge with it. But it's time to retire this as a photo. But this was the comment I got on it. And I'm sure he was trying to be like funny and witty, but it came off.
No. Just go into the comment.
Okay.
I love how you're like trying to.
I'm trying to help him out. Like I don't think his intention was bad, but it just came off so gross. I'd like to twist your cap off and squirt you all over my nudes. And then there's an emoji of noodles and a crying, laughing face.
Ew. Okay, nudes like noodles.
Yeah, like he was trying to be like twist on words, but the words squirt, nudes, it's just it like
twist, squirt, and nudes should never be in the same sentence together when that's your opening line. Just saying.
And I think it was also like he didn't message me late night, but I didn't check the app, so when I actually did check it, it was like 9 a.m. in the morning, and that's what I got. So you have to also remember the state of mind someone might be in when they're receiving it. Like, I opened my phone, I was like, ew. Like, my stomach, like, I threw down the phone because I was so repulsed by it.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a comment you can make after dating for a little bit and you know each other's sense of humor, but when you don't, it comes off creepy. Squirt, nobody should use the word squirt. It's like the word moist.
No.
Those two words should not be used when you just start dating someone.
If you're in person and you're like laughing and you're like, I want to squirt on your dudes, like joking, like I think that could be.
I don't know. Even that.
I don't think
the way you just said it, I was like grossed out by you. Like literally just.
I don't know. I'm thinking about like some of my ex. I don't think my exes would have said that, but I am thinking about like if they were to say that, would I be grossed out? I don't know if I would have, but I think just seeing that in text, I definitely was.
Yeah,
you're like, no, I'm grossed out regardless.
Do you remember the time when I was on Tinder and this guy? The messages that we had back and forth with the emojis. He was super playful in the beginning. I was like, this guy's funny. He's very clever and witty. And then he was like, so I'm just curious, how do you feel about, he put a tongue emoji and an eggplant emoji. So I'm like, blowjobs? I mean, sure. I don't have any particular feeling about that, but I've done them. And then he's like, great. So how do you feel about, and he put tongue emoji, eggplant emoji, and another tongue emoji. And I had to ask, like, whose tongue is that second tongue? And he said, mine. Like, whoa. So you're asking how I feel about both of us sucking the same dick. That is no longer play for me. That's just borderline wacko. Like, that we haven't even met.
I'm gonna give him credit though. If he if he had put that in text, you would have been repulsed. But because he threw it in with emojis, he got a conversation started.
But I put on my podcaster hat. I was super curious, so I asked him what he meant, and he actually went into his fetish and how he and his ex-girlfriend found someone on Craigslist that they would suck dicks with, and it was part of their pastime. He just wanted to get out there. Like, are you into this or not? If you're not, we're not going to meet up.
We're moving on. Yeah,
we're moving on. So maybe you're right. Maybe it's better to just put it out there from the get-go. Maybe this guy was like, I am really into twisting, squirting on your nudes. And if you're not in for it, let's not meet up.
I don't know. The way he did it, I think he was just trying to be clever. But
I know what? I think
we'll go on this episode. We're obviously going to show how, you can kind of meet someone where they're at with play and when to be playful and how to be more playful. So you'll get all that in the episode. But this was a quick anecdote of maybe what not to send. So, shall we hear it from the one and only Jeff Harry?
Woo! Go Jeff.